Hello, everybody. Welcome to another KMU Pod. KMU Live podcast. Excuse me. I'm your host Ricky Trebrega, joining you from Salina, Kansas, and I've got Hope back on the show tonight. How you doing, Hope?
Guys, I'm doing good. How are you, Ricky?
I'm doing all right, and then Derek's hiding in the background pushing buttons tonight. So, me and Hope tonight. Now, you were telling me before the show you guys didn't get a lot of snow. We got about 13 inches or so here, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Still trying to dig out. And so far, I'm only seeing 3 people on board. Now there's 4. So everybody share the show out. Let everybody know we're here.
Right.
And holler where you're watching from so we know you're here. There's Christopher. Hey, Christopher. Hey, Ellen. Hey, Queenie. Hey, Rodney.
The KMU logo on the Facebook up top is like whited out, so I think we're having some issues with our connection to your Facebook page, but we'll be all right. But it looks like there's definitely an issue with connecting to it as far as it doesn't look right.
Yeah, leave it to Facebook. I was reading an article concerning Facebook earlier, talking about how they're gonna take away the fact checkers and put in some kind of a note system, and then go back to looking for fraudulent and scammer content and get it off there. So hopefully that'll improve some things a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. Don't know. But no. Up here, like I said, we got about 13 inches of snow, and we're still kind of digging out a little bit. They finally got my parking lot dug out of my apartment complex, as I had to miss Monday and Tuesday because I couldn't get out of here. So yeah, it's been fun. But yeah. Now, before we get started covering cases, I do want to talk about, this is January, and this is National Human Trafficking Awareness Month. I'm going to go over some things regarding that here in a little bit too. But I just want to get that up there with the number, the National Human Trafficking Hotline, 888-373-7888, or text Be Free 23373 if you suspect a case of human trafficking or you believe you're a victim of human trafficking. You can call those numbers. Call that number or text that number. And right now, I noticed on their website yesterday, they have this little alert up saying we're currently receiving a lot of calls. It may take longer than 15 minutes to speak with one of our advocates. While you wait, you can search for local services by clicking that little link where it's highlighted. If you don't find help in your community, we're very sorry for the delay. Look forward to speaking with you soon. So that they must be getting a high volume of calls to put that up there.
Yeah.
And these are some of the ones in Kansas. Can't see it because up there's ICT SOS is that first one, but that one's in Wichita. Of course, the International Rescue Committee is Wichita. Wichita State University Center for Combating Human Trafficking is Wichita. Options Domestic and Sexual Violence Services is in Hayes, and they cover all of the northwest counties in Kansas is what they cover. But they only do adults. They only help adults. They don't do anything with juveniles. The only ones on this list that I saw that provide services to juveniles is the ICT SOS and Wichita State University Center for Combating Human Trafficking was what I had noticed there. And then January 11th, which is this Saturday, is National Human Trafficking Awareness Day on Saturday. So let's cover some things here. Who are the traffickers? All this information is coming from the National National Trafficking Hotline website. Who are the traffickers? There's no evidence the traffickers are more likely to be of a particular race, nationality, gender, or sexual orientation. They may be family members, romantic partners, acquaintances, or strangers. Let's see how traffickers lure people in. Stories become weapons in the hands of human traffickers. Tales of romantic love, everlasting, or about good jobs or fair wages just over the horizon. Sometimes the stories themselves raise red flags. Other times, traffickers or potential traffickers may raise red flags during recruitment. Here are a few situations that might raise concerns. A would-be employer refuses to give workers a signed contract or asks them to sign a contract in a language they can't read. A would-be employer collects fees from a potential worker for the opportunity to work at a particular job. A friend, family member, coworker, or student is newly showered with gifts or money or otherwise becomes involved in an overwhelming, fast-moving, and asymmetric, e.g., large difference in age or financial status, romantic relationship. A friend, family member, or student is a frequent runaway and may be staying with someone who's not their parent or guardian. A family member, friend, coworker, or student is developing a relationship that seems too close with someone they know solely on social media. A family member, friend, or student lives with a parent or guardian and shows signs of abuse. A family member, friend, or coworker is offered a job opportunity that seems too good to be true. A family member, friend, coworker is recruited for an opportunity that requires them to move far away, but the recruiter or prospective employer avoids answering questions or is reluctant to provide detailed information about the job. Interesting. And then let's see, who is most vulnerable? Anyone can experience trafficking in any community, just as anyone can be the victim of any kind of crime. While it can happen to anyone, evidence suggests that people of color and LGBTQ people are more likely to experience trafficking than any other demographic groups. Generational trauma, historic oppression, discrimination, and other societal factors and inequities create community-wide vulnerabilities. Traffickers recognize and take advantage of people who are vulnerable. People may be vulnerable to trafficking if they have an unstable living situation. They have previously experienced other forms of violence, such as sexual abuse or domestic violence, run away or involved in the juvenile justice or child welfare system, or undocumented immigrants, are facing poverty or economic need, have a caregiver or family member who has a substance use issue, or are addicted to drugs or alcohol. And here's some recognizing sex trafficking. Sex trafficking occurs when individuals are made to perform commercial sex through the use of force, fraud, or coercion. Any child under 18 who is involved in commercial sex is legally a victim of trafficking, regardless of whether there is a third party involved. Someone may be experiencing sex trafficking if they want to stop participating in commercial sex but feel scared or unable to leave the situation. Disclose that they are reluctant to engage in commercial sex, but that someone pressured them into. Live where they work, are transported by guards between home and workplace, are children who live with a dependent on or a family member with a substance use problem or who is abusive. They have a pimp or manager in the commercial sex industry. They work in an industry where it may be common to be pressured into performing sex acts for money, such as a strip club, illicit cantina, go-go bar, or illicit massage business. They have a controlling parent, guardian, romantic partner, or sponsor who will not allow them to meet or speak with anyone alone, or who monitors their movements, spending, or communications. And again, if you believe you're a victim of human trafficking or may have information about a potential trafficking situation, contact the U.S. National Human Trafficking Hotline. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, call 911. And again, the National Trafficking Hotline number is 888-373-7888, or text Be Free to 23373. And then on the heels of that, I want to talk about, this is a case I just saw the other day. This happened just right before Christmas. This gentleman here, 28-year-old Alexander Matern, he had met a 14-year-old on a gaming app, and he lives in Louisiana. She lived in Tennessee. They made plans for him to drive from Louisiana to Tennessee and pick her up and take her back to Louisiana, which he did. And once they got back to his location, they did engage in sex acts. And then allegedly after that, she revealed that she was 14. And then he went and bought her a tent, food, water, and set her up in the woods in Louisiana while he went and spent Christmas with his family. Her family caught on to she had this going on with him and contacted Louisiana. Louisiana got a hold of him, and he took him out to where he left her, and he's since been arrested. He's booked on one count of contributing to the delinquency of a juvenile, one count of aggravated kidnapping of a child. He's also detectives also secured warrants for human trafficking, felony, carnal knowledge felony. Once he's able to be transported, return will be booked into the St. Charles Parish Nelson Coleman Correctional Center down there in Louisiana. Can't stress this enough. Keep your eye on what your kids are doing online, on their gaming apps, on their social media. I know there are apps out there now that they can install on their phones that will actually hide conversations, and it'll just look like non-discrete apps. But in reality, it'll be an app to hide their conversations that they don't want you to see. But anyway, do your best to keep your eye on your kids. Make sure you know who they're talking to, because you don't want a situation like that to come up. It's a pretty bad deal.
It is.
But again, remember, this month is Human Trafficking Awareness Month, so must make sure that we're staying aware. I mean, all year long, obviously, but they've designated January as Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and January 11th, Human Trafficking Awareness Day. So again, if you suspect anybody that might be a trafficking victim, or you feel that you might be one, there's that number one more time: 888-373-7888, or text "Be Free" to 23373. And get some help that way. Or like I showed those local, the ICT SOS in Wichita, or the Wichita State University Center for Combating Human Trafficking down there in Wichita State. If you're a juvenile or an adult, and then the other two if you're an adult, and especially if you're in the northwest counties of the state of Kansas. Options Domestic and Sexual Violence Services is, and then Wichita has an International Rescue Committee down there as well. So you can contact one of those locations if you feel like you need to. All right. With that, are we ready to cover some cases tonight?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and get into your first flyer real quick though. I watch a lot of YouTube predator catchers, and I don't have either of these apps, but to me, every bad person that ever gets caught is communicating on apps called Telegram and Signal. So
Yeah.
if you see any of your kids on those apps, you might want to shut that down pretty quick.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. Like I said, there's other discrete apps, or not discrete, but other apps that look like just nondescript, plain Jane apps that are designed to actually hide conversations that are out there as well. All right, let's start off with Dietrich Foster, Independence, Kansas, where he's missing from since April 12, 2020. He was 37 when he went missing. He would now be 42. He is 5'9", weighs 190 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. He was reported missing on May 12th. He was last seen around April 12th in Independence. KBI agents and detectives from the Independence Police Department are conducting a case as a homicide based upon findings during the investigation into Dietrich's disappearance. And at the time of his disappearance, he was 37. He's now 42. He's 5'9", weighs 190 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. He does have a scar on his chest from heart surgery, a scar on the right side of his nose. He has the following tattoos: a cross on his right forearm, the astrological sign for Gemini on his right arm, 3 dice on his arm, the name Dejeuner on his arm, and the word foo on his abdomen. If you have any information regarding Dietrich's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Independence, Kansas Police Department. It's 620-332-1700. Or call the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can help get Dietrich located and back home to his family. And there is a governor's reward of $5,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the disappearance and suspected murder of Dietrich Foster. So there again, if you have any information, no matter how minute or small, get it called in immediately. And Queenie's saying that Robot Ricky is back. What does that mean?
You were sounding really robotic, but now you sound normal again.
Okay, well, I don't know what's going on. Sorry about all that. I thought maybe it's because I'm sounding nasally and all that good stuff.
Nope, you were breaking.
Oh man, am I okay now though?
Talk
You
again.
might leave and come back just because it just as soon as you asked if you're okay, it jostled. So you might just leave and come back real quick. Kansas City, Kansas case, unsolved homicide. We're going to cover quite a few cases tonight. If you're not following Ricky's Facebook page, Kansas Missing and Unsolved, go ahead and go to Facebook, look for Kansas Missing and Unsolved, and give Ricky a follow. Let's get a sound check from you.
Hello, hello, hello.
A little bit better. Let's check it out. Go ahead and try to read this one.
Alrighty. This is another one of those cases that kind of bothers me, and kind of wondered if there's a little trafficking involved with her case at some point, why she was not able to be found for 3 years, but I don't know. This is Jamie Jasmine Zubia Hernandez. She was 13. She ran away from her foster home in Wathena, Kansas on June 9, 2012. Prior to her disappearance, Jamie had recently been prosecuted in a juvenile court for drug possession. She was due in court for her sentencing shortly after her disappearance. Jamie never showed up and was never seen by her foster family again. There was unfortunately very little media coverage on Jamie's disappearance, likely due to her runaway status. 3 years later, during the early morning hours of May 30, 2015, a Kansas City resident called the police to report a shootout in the 2500 block of Ridge Avenue. According to the witness, 2 vehicles fired shots at each other, and a female passenger in one of the vehicles was killed as a result. The female passenger's body was dumped on the side of the road, and the vehicles drove off before police arrived. 2 days later, on June 1st, 2015, authorities announced that the slain female was identified as Jamie. The identity of Jamie's killer remains unknown, as does the identity of the driver in the car Jamie was riding in when she was shot. Additionally, Jamie's whereabouts from June 2012 to May 2015 still remain a mystery. Although she was ultimately found in Kansas City, it's unknown where she stayed or how she survived during those 3 years. Investigators said they received a tip that Jamie was in Kansas City back in 2013, but when they followed said lead, they were unable to locate her. At that time, police were searching for a late 1990s or early 2000s white Ford F-150 with flare sides, tinted windows, 20-inch chrome rims, and a touchscreen device in the cab. The truck was located on June 2nd, 2015, unoccupied, and was taken and processed for evidence. If you have any information regarding Jamie's murder, please call the Wathena, Kansas Police Department at 785-989-4521, or you can call the tips line anonymously at 816-474-8477, or the KBI at 800-572-7463, or you can actually scan that QR code that says "Say It Here," and it'll take you to the KC Crime Stoppers website. You can submit a tip that way as well, and see if we can get somebody held accountable for her death. I mean, 13 years old, and she shot to death and dumped out on the street. And again, she was missing for 3 years. Nobody could find her. And, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Somebody needs to be held accountable for that. I mean, the person that shot her in the other vehicle needs to be the person that she was riding in for dumping her out on the street instead of taking her to the hospital. It's just ridiculous. I mean, people need to be held accountable. So if anybody knows anything, step up, make those phone calls, get a hold of Crime Stoppers anonymously, do something. Let's move this case forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I see Scott Messerschmidt is saying apps look like calculators they're using for texting. Make sure to check your kids' phones. Definitely.
Oh, yeah. There's so many apps out there that hide icons and stuff like that, make them look like there's something else.
Yeah.
It's crazy anymore.
Yep. Definitely. And let's see, this is Rochelle Hammond. She's missing from Moscow, Colorado since August 15th, 2019. Was 30 when she went missing. She's now 35, 5'6", 120 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. She was last seen walking away from her Moscow, Colorado home. She left all her belongings behind, including her phone, her ID, her car, computer, tools, and pet dog. She'd only been living in the area for about 3 weeks prior to her disappearance. She'd previously lived in the Columbus, Ohio area. She may be living homeless. Although police can find little evidence in her disappearance, her mother believes she did not leave of her own accord and she may have become a human trafficking victim. Rochelle suffers from bipolar disorder and schizophrenia and has been prescribed medication for her conditions, which she also left behind. Rochelle's nose is pierced. She has numerous tattoos, including the phrase "live like a lion" on her upper chest, a star behind her ear, a skull on the back of her wrist, stars on the inside of her forearm, a cat with a bong on her shoulder, and other tattoos. Some are pictured down there below where you can see them there. She was last known to be wearing a black tank top, khaki shorts, black Nike shoes, and a silver circular barbell in her nose. If you have any information regarding Rochelle's disappearance, or you know her whereabouts, please call the Alamosa County, Colorado Sheriff's Office at 719-589-6608 and see if we can help get Rochelle located and back to where she needs to be. Yeah, it's been long enough. So let's see if we can help her get her. Again, if you have any information, no matter how small you might think it'd be, call it in anyway. It may be something they really need to put some pieces together. So let's do that. Yep, and there's Moscow, Colorado, right there. A lot of dunes, which is hard to believe for Colorado.
Right? I never knew that there was dunes like that in Colorado, but
Well, then either you think dunes, you think like New Mexico, Arizona, hot places, not cold places.
hot places and deserts.
Yep. All right. And this one's Haley Davis. Missing from here in Salina, Kansas since July 21st, 2023. She was 19 when she went missing. She's now 20. She was 5'6" to 5'7", weighs between 190 and 200 pounds. Her hair was last known to be dyed bleach blonde, and she has blue eyes. She had left Salina with a male acquaintance to go to Wichita, Kansas. She was last active on her social media and last heard from on July 21st of 2023. And at the time of her disappearance, she was 19. She's now 20. She's 5'6" to 5'7", weighs between 190 and 200 pounds. Her hair was last known to be dyed bleach blonde, and she does have blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Haley's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210 or call Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477 or text SA Tips to Crimes, which is 274-637, or visit www.pd.salina.org and follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit a tip. Or you can call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-268-4181 or 316-268-4407 or 316-263-6011 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And I've mentioned this before, but I added the Wichita numbers because Wichita is involved in the Wichita end of the investigation. So if you have any information up here in Salina, you can call either Salina or Wichita. Same with if you're down in Wichita and you have any information, you can call Wichita or up here in Salina, either way, and see if we can't get her found and back to where she needs to be. I know she's got a little boy that's missing her terrible, and her brother and her aunt and her other family and friends. I know they just want her home safe. Okay, here's Alexander Perez, another one we've been covering for quite a long time, since day one of him going missing practically. He went missing from Ulysses, Kansas on December 1st of 2020. He was 35 when he went missing. He's now 39. He's 5'11", weighs 235 pounds, black hair that he shaves nearly bald, and brown eyes. He'd called a family member on the phone on December 1st and said he'd be coming to their home to do laundry. He never arrived at the family member's home in Ulysses. Alexander has not been heard from or seen by family or friends since then. He had been staying with family and friends prior to his disappearance. And at the time of his disappearance, he was 35. He's now 39. 5'11", weighs 235 pounds. He has black hair that he shaves nearly bald and brown eyes. He has a tattoo of a bumblebee on his face underneath his left eye. He has Perez tattooed on one of his arms. He has a tattoo of a cross on a chain across his chest. If you have any information regarding Alexander's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Grant County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 620-356-3500 or the Ulysses, Kansas Police Department at 620-356-4600 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can help get Alex located and back home to his family and see if we can make that happen.
Yeah.
Definitely.
AJ has friends all over the place, I've learned.
Oh, yeah?
Last year.
Yeah. Yep. And I did see that Jessica Jensen's in the house and getting ready to cover her dad's flyer here. John R. Jensen, missing from Kerwin, Kansas since June 14th, 2023. Was 52 when he went missing. He's now 54. 5'11", 190 pounds, brown hair, hazel eyes. He left without his vehicle, his cell phone, or his wallet. And at the time of his disappearance, he was 52. He's now 54, 5'11", weighs 190 pounds, has brown hair and hazel eyes. If you have any information regarding Jonathan's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Phillips County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 785-543-6885, or the KBI at 785-296-4017, and see if we can help get John located and back home to his family as well. Yeah, and then down at the bottom there, she put another comment, says, here.
I seen that.
I'm glad you're here, Jessica. I'm glad everybody's here. Make sure we're getting this show shared out to everybody. And this is Cynthia Gonzalez. And this is another unsolved homicide down in Arlington, Texas. On September 17, 1991, Cynthia Renee Gonzalez was reported missing to the Arlington, Texas Police Department. On September 22nd, 1991, Cynthia's body was discovered in a creek bed off County Road 313 in Johnson County, Texas. It was later determined that Cynthia died from multiple gunshot wounds. Cynthia was reportedly at her apartment with her boyfriend when her husband stopped by to deliver their daughter for a weekend visit. Sometime later, Cynthia left for an appointment without her customary bodyguard. She was never seen again. Serial killer Kenneth Allen McDuff was looked at in connection with Cynthia's death. Jim Ford, longtime Arlington police officer and renowned homicide investigator, had looked at McDuff in connection with Cynthia's case for going on 18 years. He was never able to make a match or a mismatch. McDuff was believed to have abducted a victim from a car wash in Austin, Texas. Cynthia's car, a two-seat Pontiac Bureau, was seen parked at a car wash in Arlington the day she disappeared. There were similarities in the Austin case and Cynthia's case. He kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and killed his victim at a car wash in Austin. He dumped the bodies of several of his victims in rural areas, and he killed several victims by shooting them. Investigators could not place McDuff in the Arlington area and could not determine whether he was out on the streets at that time, but could not find him as being incarcerated at that time either. Other persons of interest have come up and have been cleared as well. McDuff has since been ruled out by DNA testing. If you have any information regarding Cynthia's death, please contact Detective Stafford at 817-459-5772. If you wish to remain anonymous and possibly receive a reward of up to $1,250, please call the Toronto County, Texas Crime Stoppers at 817-469-8477 and see if we can help get some justice for Cynthia and her family and their daughter and the rest of their family and friends. It's another sad case there.
You know, that whole area, Fort Worth, Dallas, Arlington.
Yeah.
I lived in that area for a while.
Being that she was in the line of work that she was in, there's no shortage of suspects. That's the sad part.
No, I mean, I was in that line of work at one point in time in my life, you know, and you come into contact with many, many, many people on a daily.
Oh, I'm sure. Definitely. All right. And this one is Dana Bruce, another one we've covered for quite some time. She's missing from Sedalia, Missouri since October 4th, 2008. She was 23 when she went missing. She's now 39. She's 5'2", 98 pounds, brown hair, green or hazel eyes. She was last seen at her children's babysitter's home in Sedalia. She left the children there earlier that day so she could go out for the evening. She returned at midnight and gave the babysitter more money and asked her to watch the children for the rest of the night. Dana was seen at Malone's Bar on Main Street with a young man driving a late model red Ford F-150 truck earlier on the night of her disappearance. She left with that man at 11:30 p.m. Police have identified the man Dana was with on the night she vanished. He traveled to Atlanta, Georgia after her disappearance, and police did question him about Dana after he was arrested there on unrelated charges of marijuana possession and driving on a suspended license. Authorities have not named him publicly, but they are calling him a person of interest in her case. He told his questionnaires that he and Dana parted ways after they left the bar, and he never saw her again after that. She left all of her belongings behind, including her hairbrush and toothbrush. She does not have any credit cards, debit cards, checking account, cell phone, or a car. Again, at the time of her disappearance, she was 23. She would now be 39. She's 5'2", weighs 98 pounds. She has brown hair that was colored brown at the roots, black at the ends, with red highlights and green or hazel eyes. She's last known to be wearing a black shirt with the word rebel in silver lettering on the front and blue jeans. She has a tattoo of a teddy bear with wings and the name Dylan on her upper left arm. She is blind in her left eye. She has a 2-inch scar along her lower spine and a staple scar on her right shoulder. Her ears are pierced one time each. If you have any information regarding Dana's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Sedalia, Missouri Police Department at 660-827-7823 or 660-826-8100 or the Missouri State Highway Patrol at 573-526-6178 or toll free at 866-362-6422. Or you can call Private Investigator Leslie at 910-427-0070 and see if we can't help get Dana back home to her family and her kids and where she needs to be as well. And this is an old case here. This is Maribel Henley. She's missing from Wichita, Kansas. It's June 5th, 1951. She was 25 when she went missing. She would now be 98. She's 5'8" to 5'9", weighs between 125 and 135 pounds. She has brown hair and brown eyes. She may use the middle name Beth or her maiden name Davis. Married when she was in her teens and had 3 children. 1951, she left the children with her mother in Cookeville, Tennessee, the city where she'd been raised, and moved to Wichita to be with a gentleman friend. His name was supposedly Houston West, and he supposedly worked for Boeing. After moving to Wichita, Mary wrote to her children a few times on stationery from the now demolished Royce Hotel there. Eventually, the letter stopped. In her last letter to her family, Mary asked them to mail her some summer clothes. They did, but a few weeks later, the unclaimed package of clothing was sent back. Mary's family never heard from her again. The police had contact with her in Wichita on June 5th, 1951. This is the last indication of Mary's whereabouts. And at the time of her disappearance, she was 25. She would now be 98. She's 5'8" to 5'9" and weighs between 125 and 130 pounds. She has brown hair and brown eyes, and she has a mole on her chin. If you have any information regarding Mary's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-268-4181 or 316-268-4111 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't help get her either located or some information on what may have happened to her. I mean, I know it's been a long, long time, but I never give up on anything. You know, I've talked about it before, but we had a case of a gentleman that went missing from Fort Riley in the 50s, and he was eventually found when a family member stepped up and said, hey, he's living here in Canada. And so his case, they compared DNA and were able to match it and closed his case as being found. And sadly, he had deceased prior to when his grandson reached out and said, hey, he's been living here in Canada. But so I never give up on any case. It doesn't matter how old it is. I'll still put it out there.
Absolutely.
And Ellen Dodson saying, thank you for sharing Dana and Rochelle's flyers. You're very welcome. And we'll continue to do that until something gives them and then they're found and brought home. Hopefully it's something gives and they'll be found and brought home soon. Absolutely. It would be nice.
Pray.
Yeah, this one is Herman Pitts. He is missing from Hutchinson, Kansas since June 26, 2024. 56 when he went missing. He's now 57. 6'1", 180 pounds. He has black and gray hair that he does shave bald, as you can see, and brown eyes. He was last known to be in the Salina, Kansas area, but he may also be in the Manhattan, Kansas area. And he was 56 when he went missing. He's now 57. He has black and gray hair, but it's known to shave his head bald and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Herman's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Hutchinson, Kansas Police Department at 620-694-2800 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get him located and back to where he needs to be. I know I have people periodically message me, ask me if I've heard anything on him or not, and so far I have not. So I know there's people out there worried about him. This is one I just updated the other day and put out there. This is Zachary Michael Anderson. Missing from Topeka, Kansas, although he's initially from Wichita. Been missing since January 18th, 2017. He was 27 when he went missing. He would now be 35. He's 5'9" to 6 foot. Weighs between 170 and 175 pounds. Brown hair, blue or hazel eyes. Let's see here. He, like I said, he lives in Wichita. He was last seen in Topeka on January 10th, 2017. He was brought there after he was denied entry at the Prairie Bend Casino in Mayetta, Kansas. He was supposedly dropped off at the Ramada Inn in the 400 block of Southeast 6th Street, but never checked in and has never been heard from again. His cell phone is no longer active, and his Facebook password has been changed. Again, he's now 35. He's between 5'9" and 6 foot tall, has brown hair and blue or hazel eyes. He has a tattoo that says Savannah, right side of his neck. A tattoo of the initials ZMA on his left arm, which is his initials. Tattoo of ALA on the right side of his on his right inside forearm, A tattoo of Take Money on the inside of his wrist, unknown which wrist. Tattoo of Tia on the inside of his wrist, unknown which wrist. Tattoo of $2 on the back of his right hand. Tattoo of Bam Margera, a heartogram on lower abdomen. I'm not sure what that is exactly. I'll have to look that up. Tattoo of a cross on the side of his rib cage, unknown which side. A prior tattoo of Savannah on his chest that had been covered up with a skull-like image and black ship. It's not completed. Zachary was last known to be wearing a black jacket over a blue jacket, red and black sweatpants, red and black Reebok sneakers, earrings, a necklace, and a beige bracelet with multicolored beads on his right wrist. If you have any information regarding Zachary's disappearance, or you know his whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-268-4111. Or the Topeka, Kansas Police Department at 785-368-9200, or KBI at 785-296-4017, and see if we can help get Zachary located and back home to his family. And you can see some of the pictures of some of his tattoos right there as well. Oh, is that what that is? Thank you, Derek.
Yep.
I didn't know what that tattoo was. Thank you for putting that picture up there. Yeah, and Rodney made the comment here. You used to always tell my kids when they were little, always be aware, guys. Always so important. Today's, yeah, guaranteed. 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. Always be aware, no matter where you are. Be aware of your surroundings and who's around you and what's going on. And yeah, definitely. All right. Her flyer, I have had to watch like a hawk because them darn scammers in their comments. Let me tell you what. This is Nakia Smith, missing from Wichita, Kansas since November 6, 2024. She's 16, 4'8", 115 pounds, and I did verify that with Wichita PD that is accurate. She is 4'8", 115 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. You don't have much more than that, but if you have any information regarding Nakia's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-660-9456 or 316-660-9254. or 316-263-6011, or KBI at 785-296-4017, and see if we can help get Nakia located and back to where she needs to be. I love sinuses, let me tell you what.
Oh, I know. I have to do sinus rinses almost every day.
All right. That's crazy. This is Savannah Rachel Guyton, another Wichita case since December 30th of 2024. 16, 5'6", 160 pounds, red or auburn hair and brown eyes. Don't have much more than that. If you have any information regarding Savannah's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-660-9254 or 316-660-9456 or 316-263-6011 or KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can help get Savannah located and back to where she needs to be. I'm going to probably butcher this last name, which I hope I don't. Avron, I don't know if it's Hurl or Hurl. I'm not sure. If I butchered it, I apologize severely. Missing from Wichita, Kansas. Another one. Since November 28th, 2024. He's 16, 5'5" to 5'7", 160 to 190 pounds. Brown hair, blue eyes. And don't have much more than that. But if you have any information regarding Avron's disappearance, you know of his whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-660-9254 or 316-660-9456 or 316-263-6011 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't help get Avron located and back to where he needs to be.
That a lot of these kids just want to be grown up so quick.
Oh, I know it.
Just biding their time until they're 18. They think they know it all and take off. And
right. Definitely. Yeah, kids just need to learn to enjoy being kids, and
I remember being their age. You know,
yeah.
I can't wait until I'm an adult. I'm an adult. I want to go back to being a kid.
Right. And this one is, I hope I'm going to say this right. Eligiana Camerona Simone Johnson, missing from Florence, Kansas since January 1st, 2025. She's 15, 5'2", 190 to 200 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. She goes by the nickname Lele. And she's 15, 5'2", 190 to 200 pounds, has black hair, brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Eligiana's disappearance, or you know her whereabouts, please call the Marion County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 620-382-2144 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can get Eligiana located and back to where she needs to be. And moving back to Wichita. She had been located and she's missing again. Precious Unique Basque, missing from Wichita, Kansas since January 2nd of this year. 17, 5'5", 105 pounds, brown hair that was last known to be dyed pink, blue eyes. She does suffer from medical conditions, reportedly possibly pregnant, making it urgent to find her soon and safely. And she's 17, 5'5", weighs 105 pounds, brown hair that's last known to be dyed pink and blue eyes. She has nostril piercings on both left and right sides of her nose. If you have any information regarding Precious's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call 911 immediately or call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-660-9254 or 316-660-9456 or 316-263-6011 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And see if we can't get Precious located and back to where she needs to be. She is also the granddaughter of a fellow missing persons advocate, Aaron Armstrong, that does one of the Missouri pages over there. So, you know, we've been keeping each other in the loop on what's going on because he didn't realize she'd gone missing again until I contacted him and asked him about it. And so they weren't aware of it quite yet. I guess she is in the system, I'm guessing. But, yeah, so let's get her found and back to where she needs to be. And I believe this is our last flyer for the evening right here. Larry Woods, missing from Pratt, Kansas since May 18th, 1984. He's 36 when he went missing. He'll now be 77. He's 5'9", 170 pounds, brown hair and green eyes. He's last seen at Sharon's Conoco Station in Turon in a 1981 Chevrolet pickup. His pickup was later found east of Turon, just off K61 Highway in Reno County. Although the pickup and area were thoroughly searched, there was no sign of foul play and no sign of Larry. Larry owned a tree service company, and prior to his disappearance, Larry said he was going to see a man about a tree trimming job in Turon, which is a small town about 25 miles north of Pratt. And at the time of his disappearance, he was 36. He'd now be 77. He's 5'9", weighs 170 pounds, has brown shoulder-length hair and green eyes. He has a lion's head tattoo on his upper arm and a devil's head tattoo on his upper left arm. Last seen wearing a light-colored shirt, blue jeans, and a baseball cap with Woods Tree Service on the front. If you have any information regarding Larry's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Pratt County, Kansas Sheriff's Department at 620-672-4133 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. Or you can give information anonymously by calling Crime Stoppers at 620-672-3050 and see what we can do to help try to get him located and back to where he needs to be. And that's kind of a quick show.
Well,
Yeah, we've already gone through all the flyers. Wow. Now, you guys got any cases you want to throw out there for us to cover for next week or anything like that?
I would like to see you cover Rachel Pratt next week.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. See if I need to make any updates on her flyer and get her circulating again. Because it's been a while since we've talked about her. It's been a pretty good minute since we've talked about her. I'll have to let me make a note of that so I don't forget between now and next week. I've got a lot going on. Like I mentioned before the show, I just started doing iron infusions today because I just found out I'm dealing with a little bit of anemia. So I have to take care of that. So yeah, series of 5 infusions. I just did the first one today. I did the next one Friday, and I'm assuming 3 next week. I'm not sure. Unless I'll find out Friday for sure, but see how that goes. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight and thank Hope for being back with us tonight. It's good to see you back.
it's good to be back.
Good deal. Hopefully we'll see more of you.
Yeah.
And with that, I'll go ahead and do our usual typical, closing prayer tonight. Say, Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together to go over these missing persons and unsolved homicide cases, and just pray that people will do the right thing and make the phone calls they need to make to give the information they need to get these people found and these unsolved homicides solved. And, regardless of whether we recovered them tonight or not, if you have any information on any cases that we've covered in the past and haven't covered recently, call those in as well. But just want to make sure, we try to lead people to do the right thing, Heavenly Father. And until we see each other next week, everybody stay safe out there with all that snow. God bless, and see you all next week. Amen.